I'm back in a Viper. Last time I drove a Viper, it was a little scary. So the last time I drove a Viper was Throttle's Hellcat Red Eye Swap Viper that they built for Roadkill Nights. Needless to say, it was a little unpredictable. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, David, you need to drive another Viper with the original motor in it." The last one I did was a Gen 1. The Gen 1 to the Gen 2 is surprisingly a really big jump. They fix a lot of the bad of the Gen 1. Because when you have a Gen 1 and it has high miles on it, it feels like a kid car. And I hate to say that because I love the Viper, I'm just saying. But the rear window starts flapping, everything feels loose, everything starts to crack and get a little, well, just bad. But you love it because of the era and Carroll Shelby's mindset of, here's a car, good luck, don't crash. And the Viper in the first gen, tons of owners crashed them, and then they said, okay, maybe we need to refine this just a little bit more. The Gen 2 takes that mentality, still makes it sketchy and still makes it fun, but fixes a lot of the problems of the Gen 1, including having a much better hardtop. So they only made 360 of the final edition Vipers, which this is one of them. What's also great too is this car makes around 650 wheel and 650 torque. What's really nice about that is it's extremely predictable. It does exactly what you think it's gonna do. My buddy Jonathan, who has a whole bunch of cool cars in the past we drove, including a Terminator swapped Fox body with a VMP blower on it, and we had a wonderful time. Uno, dos, tres! If that doesn't make you smile, go see a therapist. What's cool about this car though, it's also twin turboed, but we're not talking big boy Calvo or Nthmoto, nothing like that. This is actually a lot more usable. This has just a little bit more power than the factory one did, and it makes all the good turbo noises without you going, I'm about to be really scared. When you drive the big boy ones like Calvo or Nthmoto, you basically have to physically regroup yourself and get mentally prepared. Because when you're talking about 1400 plus horsepower, that's not just something you're just gonna go drive and not be a little scared of it, right? This is, I want the turbo noises, but I also want to drive a Viper, which is already sketchy enough. Because the 5th gen Vipers are so different from the old ones in kind of a good way because they're so refined. Because you know, with those cars, you can do bolt-ons, it makes like 640 wheel. This pushes around 6 pounds of boost to the motor, and it makes it fun, enjoyable, and it's plenty fast enough for just driving around town. Just do barely. And these turbos are not like junk turbos. They're not cheap. These are precision 62, 67s, and they just do the job so well. The power band comes in very predictably. That's what I like about it too. With the V10, you have so much displacement that the turbos spool up so quick. It's not one of those Toyota Supra moments where you're like lag, 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 hits you in the face. This just, well, hits you in the face. So you always know what's gonna happen. Plus you get that Viper sound, which is really divisive. A lot of people I know don't like the sound of the Viper. I've always liked it. It doesn't sound like any other V10 on the market. Nothing Italian. Not to mention it's like a big truck engine. It's not that complicated. So like third gear. See, like, this is fun. This isn't like, oh God, I'm in trouble this whole time. It just goes straight, it hooks up pretty well. And also, look, Vipers can't be sleepers, but this is kind of a sleeper because one, when you twin turbo a Viper, they sit almost in the fender well. You know, if you don't see the blow off valve and you don't know what you're looking for, you just be like, oh yeah, Viper engine, V10, cool. But with this, with how clean it is, this thing is really clean. The interior doesn't have any issues with it. The black interiors seem to hold up a little bit better than the tan interiors or the brown interiors. Vipers are claustrophobic. I'm like average height, like 5'8", and even my knee is like hitting the dash and stuff like that. And also, if you don't know, the Viper pedals are all the way to the left. Like all the way to the left. So it's easy for your feet to kind of hit each other. But you can also wind the pedals towards you, which is really, really nice if you can't really get a good seat adjustment. Yeah. See, second gear, having a nice day. I'm going to Cars and Coffee. Oh, I'm turbo. That's amazing. But what's really funny is when you hear turbos in the old school Viper, and you're like, wait, where's redline? And you forget that the Viper engines, you know, stock don't have a super high redline. When they built the Viper, they spent so much time like R&D, like the little things, but the gauges and everything else are white. They got that 90s vibe to it. You can just totally see why this was a problem for the average consumer. Like, it has so much sensory overload, like, oh, my window switches are here, the Viper motor sounds crazy, oh my God, I have no traction control. But these did have ABS. That's where a big game changer was okay, people really don't know what they're doing. Maybe we need to dial it back just a little bit. But then you can just do this. This is the first time I've driven a boosted Viper and I'm just like not worried at all. Like, we're just having a nice time. But I just remember when people started twin turboing Vipers in general, it had this like widowmaker reputation. We're like, oh, why would you do that? The Viper's already scary enough. But now I'm starting to get it. Just by adding that 6 pounds of boost, sometimes 7, it'll overboost a little bit. It just, it's so much fun. Oh yeah, also it's on an AM Infinity standalone, which actually has traction control. So in this car, that's why it's so easy to drive. It ramps in the power very progressively, and that's why first gear is limited to 4 pounds of boost, and the next gears are 6 pounds of boost. So it's a boost by gear setup, and you can just get into it at any moment. That last pull I did, I dabbed it. I didn't ramp into it. The computer did everything else. Yeah, second gear, I think in this car is like, that's the money, because you can just get into it, enjoy it, get up to speed pretty good. That's like an exit ramp gear. So having the lower PSI, it's pretty easy on the motor. You don't have anything to worry about. If you're not trying to beat everybody in the street and crank it all the way up, you can put some force induction on this motor and you'll be A-okay. And this is just a looker. When I think of a Dodge Viper from the 90s and early 2000s, I know this is an 02, this is what I think of. My brain goes to a red Dodge Viper every single time. But it's awesome to see that Dodge finally started to make these cars a lot better by the second gen than the third gen. But they still had that scary mentality. But the fifth gen, it's like its own car. That's awesome. The Vipers ended up with side exit exhaust. This goes out the back. So that's a little bit of a difference too. Dude, the side exit exhaust, when you do exhaust kits on it, are so loud. They're so loud because they're on each end of each door. So it just beats your eardrums up. This is pretty cool because it just goes out the back and you can enjoy it. Plus the turbo noises are actually louder because of that. Oh yeah, by the way, when you drive a red Viper with white stripes on it, you get lots of attention. There's a guy behind me earlier who was in I believe a Jeep Grand Cherokee, He was like, oh, that's one of my Chrysler brothers. And started revving his engine. I'm like, don't worry, dude, I got you. This car is like just unrefined enough. I think that's a really good way to put it, because it still has that Viper rawness of the first gen in a lot of ways, but not the bad part of that package. When you drive the first gen, you literally have that saying in your head, like, I'm in danger the entire time. And I drove a bone stock one as well. And when I drove the bone stock one, it still was spinning tires. It had the 3-spoke wheels on it. It had exactly what it was supposed to from the factory. Just like that, my experience is over, right? I had fun, ramped into power, made choo-choo noises, made 650 wheel in a piece of fiberglass, basically, and that's it. Completely opposite from the Fox body that I drove from it. But on that note, a more civilized, okay, civilized in big fat quotation marks, a more civilized twin turbo Viper. What did you guys think of it? Put it in the comment section below. I had an amazing time. It's been a while since I've visited the Gen 2 Viper, and I'm actually pretty blown away how much they fixed from the first one now that I've driven it pretty close to each other. And on that note, I upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. See you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.